outside the State Capture Commission. Natasha, a very good morning to you. What's happening where you are?
Well, very good morning to you, Desiree, and of course to the SABC viewers. So while all the action will actually be happening inside the commission, we are situated outside where there's somewhat a hive of activity as well. And of course, we know that there's a picket outside led by members of COPE, and we also have members of the Democratic Alliance also outside. If I'll just ask my, my colleague, the camera operator, Mkiza, to actually show you just a shot of those DA members, which are also picketing outside. I mean, we earlier on heard Democratic Alliance leader there, John Steenhuisen, talking to my colleague Obambeje, also saying that, he will be here situated inside the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. But also, Desiree, let's just also talk to Willie Madisha, who is the Deputy President of the Congress of the People. Of course, they're leading a picket outside under the banner of 9 wasted years.
Thank you very much. What we want to say is today is the time for President Ramaphosa to tell the nation the truth, because in our own understanding, he has sold out. ANC has sold out. It was during his presidency that lots and lots of the monies of the people of South Africa were taken and given to people such as the Guptas and so on. But then at the same time, it was during his presidency that the state-owned enterprises such as Eskom took lots and lots of money. I mean, for example, he owned more than 9% in that particular company, one of the companies that had...
Are we talking about Optimum?
Yes, okay. He owned more than 9%, whilst at the same time, he was chairperson there. So he took a lot of money. He left with lots and lots of money. Again, it was during his time as part of the people in the presidency that lots of money went away. We cannot blame Zuma only. He was part of that particular presidency, so they were moving together. And money was lost during their presidency. Money was lost after their presidency. But with him, more was even lost before he could become president. So here is ANC, because he's president of ANC, he's president of the country, versus the people of South Africa at the moment, but they even stole more before he became president of ANC and the country.
Mr. Madisha, let me just keep you here. Father Mkacha, can you just please come closer? Also joined by ANC veteran here, Father Mkacha. You've heard what Dr. Willie Madisha from COPE had to say, saying that, Cyril Ramaphosa needs to account in his capacity as ANC president, because state capture somewhat also happened under his watch.
I think what at least we must really acknowledge is that he is showing leadership and a sense of accountability for the actions. Now, having said so, though, I think that the issue is more complex in the sense that when the former president did all the things that he did, including the Nkandla scandal and so on and so on, with the whole cabinet, with lots of members of parliament and so on, also in support. So there's no way then one can, in that sense, say, oh, well, I didn't know, I did know. The question is not even so much whether you knew or not, but what did you do in order to demonstrate your disapproval of that kind of behavior. And I think he has a forum today to tell the nation that I did this either openly or discreetly or privately, whatever the case may have been, and so on. And as I pointed out earlier, that being in a number 2 position in any hierarchy does not always make your life easy, because when you are boss or someone who is above you in rank takes a particular decision and you probably feel very uncomfortable about it, you have 2 choices really. One is simply directly to confront him and to make your colleagues know that you disagree with that and so on, but you haven't maybe got the power to do anything. And some people might even say, well, I resign. I cannot be part of this or something. But people respond differently. So for me, what is most important and to be appreciated today is that here is the president who is willing I know this is not a court, but willing to face the nation, face the world, and say, yes, during the 9 or 10 wasted years, I was also, in a way, part of it and so on. But maybe for certain reasons, I was not in a position to stop it. But that's for him to articulate all that. I'm merely just stating that, sometimes the people in positions of power find themselves in a very sticky situation. And I think my comrade here will agree that sometimes in Parliament, people will see that something is wrong. But they are thinking of their position, they are thinking of their future, they are thinking of their families and so on, and some of them in a very selfish way. But others genuinely conflict, in a way, in a state of uncertainty which way to go. But that's why the forum such as this one, to say to the nation, lest we do the same thing, future leaders do exactly the same thing. This is what happened.
We'll come to Mr. Madisha quite shortly. I mean, as an ANC veteran, the ANC is facing quite, a difficult time right now. You've got issues of factionalism, of division. You've got, the step-aside resolution is actually looming quite fast. And would you say, with the president here, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa here, is the ANC on trial?
Well, that's rather putting, of course, in a rather dramatic way to say it's on trial. But there's a way in which that statement is probably true, that ethically, in a way, it's on trial in the sense that we've got to demonstrate to the world, to the nation, your own integrity, sense of integrity, and your own commitment to certain principles that are anti-corruption and so on. So there's a way in which one can use it, but it needs to be explained what you really mean. Not because we've done necessarily anything wrong, because then we would need to appear in a court of law. But in this instance, maybe this is almost a moral platform. And I'm glad, because at one stage he was even my, what you call the patron of the moral regeneration movement. So there are certain principles, certain values that, obviously need to guide people in positions of trust and leadership.
Mkacha, the local government elections are coming up. Is this a do or die moment also for the ANC? Yesterday at the Freedom Day celebrations, we heard President Ramaphosa saying that, if public officials do not deliver services, if they are incompetent, if they are corrupt, they must be voted out. Is this a do or die moment for the ANC before the elections come? The elections are just 6 months away.
It's quite right. I think there's a way in which many of us in political leadership have actually...
I just need to let's just hold that thought right now. There is a hype of activity here outside the commission. I'm guessing that the president of the country, the ANC president, is actually making his way to the State Capture Commission. As you can see there, a motorcade is actually coming in. And I guess my colleague Abongile Dumako will actually get those visuals for us when the president actually goes out of the car and into the commission. But let's actually just, get this conversation moving again. Nobam Kacha, sorry to cut you there, and your trail of thoughts.
No. Yes, I was saying that when people elect you, in this instance, to become a councillor, maybe a mayor later on and so on, it's because they have confidence in you. It's because they take the promises that you make on that platform very seriously. So there's a way in which you are stabbing the people in the back. You are cheating the people when you fail to deliver. And especially when you start stealing resources that are meant to improve the lives of the people. Then for me it's more than just letting the people down. You are actually committing a very serious crime against the people. And that's why people will even fight, and they will even do all sorts of things when they are convinced that you are corrupt, that some of the assets that you have, as a matter of fact, you don't deserve them. Those assets belong to the people for which they were meant, and so on. So I think I would agree with the president that I think that the are lots of people who shouldn't be, first of all, in positions of power and responsibility because they don't know how to handle power in a responsible way, because they are not there primarily for the common good of the masses of the people. They are not there to serve. In other words, they're there to serve themselves, to make money for themselves, their families, their friends, and so on. And it is that culture, I guess, the president was referring to, that we all need to stand up and fight it. Because if we don't do that, the meaning of Freedom Day becomes almost empty.
Let's take this conversation back to COPE. And Tata Madisha, you heard what Ubam Mkhatshwa had to say, that for the mere fact that ANC President is here today means that he's some form of accountability.
Tata Mkhatshwa is right. But I want to emphasize that Mr. Ramaphosa must step aside. He controls the judiciary. And for as long as he's there, what is going to happen? He will be able to rise and direct and say, this must happen, this must not happen. Now, he needs to move out. He can't be a leader of his party and be a leader of government at the same time, appoint and control the judiciary, because at the end, we're not going to achieve anything as this country. Corruption, like I indicated before, is there in his hands. He stole before today. He stole with his own people during his days as deputy president and now as president, and all the information has arisen. And what he needs to say to the people is that I am going to move out until this whole thing is dealt with. I mean, if you go to the deep rural areas and you talk about corruption, our ordinary people there in the villages don't know what corruption is. Now let's say to them that corruption means stealing. These men and women who say that they are leaders are stealing. They are stealing these people. And our people need to understand that. People don't have jobs. People are hungry. People are poor. And we have all these kind of things. And the people who are doing all these things, who are stealing the money that must create jobs, that must make sure that people eat, are these people who are leaders. And those leaders are the people such as Ramaphosa, who is only seen more because we are now going to the local government elections and, dancing and smiling and doing all these things. But then we want the truth that he was hiding for more than 10 years when he was in office with Jacob Zuma. We said that Jacob Zuma took a lot, but then Ramaphosa was with him, when they were there, leading both his own party, their own party, and the government of South Africa. I mean, for the fact that Zuma is said to have stolen a lot for all those years as president of the country, where was Ramaphosa? Ramaphosa was the deputy president of the country. He was the deputy of Zuma. And to the best of my knowledge, if you are deputy, you take decisions with the president himself. So we're having a problem here. Now he must tell the people of South Africa that I have stolen, therefore I'm stepping aside, and the people of South Africa must recover. Otherwise, the people of South Africa will be dead like we are at the moment. Unemployment rate, beyond 50% at the moment. Hunger, move around. The people are just lying all over. They are hungry. And all these kind of problems. What next? He must move aside so that the people can survive.
Well, there you have it. There's a strong words there from the Deputy President of COPE, Ntate Willie Madisha, saying that ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa must step aside. He must actually account today. Where was he when this alleged state capture happened? What was his role and what was the ANC's role? Of course, they will be camping outside here the entire day. As the SABC will be bringing you the latest. As you know, that my colleague Mzwandile Mbete is actually inside. You also have my other colleague Abongile Dumako, who's just looking out for the expected guests that are actually arriving here at the commission. But as from us, Desiree, it's back to you right now in studio.
Natasha, thank you so much. And of course, we will be watching to see as the commission, there's live visuals coming in. We'll be waiting to see when it starts and taking you through as soon as it happens. Just as a side note, I was laughing to myself looking at that motorcade of 4 cars that Natasha was referring to, and remembering when Michelle Obama came to the country, and I was just startled at about 20 motor cars that she were surrounding her presence, that as we were driving behind her, because we were covering the story, and we had to be at like number 30 to try and keep up with the motorcade. But yeah, there you have it. Today, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa testifying at the State Capture Inquiry, and we're asking you, what do you expect him to say? And we're asking you to send us your comments at the agenda_SABC. We'll be taking a look at them at some point in the show. But let's take a break for now.
Right. President Cyril Ramaphosa to arrive shortly. In fact, he's here at the State Capture Commission, the convoy of President